video on.
Good morning, ma.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning to everyone. My
Good
name is
morning, ma.
Palumi. I'm co-founder for Wem'Afrika, and I invite you all, or I say thank you very much for participating in this training session. It's a free session, and our topic is my menstruation, my pride. So before we proceed with the introductions of our speakers, I just created a little bit of introduction. My Menstruation, My Pride is an initiative led by Wem'Afrika aimed at educating, empowering, and supporting young girls on menstrual health and hygiene. In the year 2025, our focus was on Yopure, located in Douala, Cameroon. This area was identified due to limited knowledge about menstruation, early pregnancy, inadequate orientation on menstrual hygiene, limited access to menstruation hygiene products, and prevalence of myths, taboos, and low self-esteem among adolescent girls. Moving beyond the myth and stigma around menstruation, Wem'Afrika selected Loveridge International School in Yopure as a primary site for intervention. The project focused on providing comprehensive menstruation education, practical skills, training, and access to essential hygiene materials. Throughout this project, we reached out to 140 girls where we distributed sanitary pads, wipes, educational booklets, personal hygiene bags. The objective was to ensure that girls felt confident, informed, and safe during their menstrual cycles by combining practical knowledge with essential supplies. Wem'Afrika aimed to build body confidence, reduce stigma, promote open conversation about menstruation. This year, 2026, we were sponsored by Ada Sunrise in partnership with Watershed Movement. We were able to reach out to 50 peoples in Limbe, and we spoke to them about menstruation. But Veronica, who is part of our team, will discuss more about this project while we go along. Today we have diverse panel. Most importantly, we have a doctor in our midst who educates us about real-life experiences, what measures we should consider in regards to menstruation. And before we proceed with our session, we invite our keynote speaker, Nuku Claudine, who will enlighten us about menstruation. Claudine, over to you. Claudine?
Yes, ma. I'm there. Greetings, everybody. Thank
We
you
can't hear you,
for giving me
Claudine.
the greetings, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Please, can you put your video?
Thank you. Sorry, ma.
Can you put on your video? Your video.
Okay, ma. Mm. In a convenient. Yeah. Mom, the environment is not that conducive. Sorry, my video might be
All right, continue.
unavailable.
All right.
Okay, thank you. So I am Nuki Claudine Renew, a humanitarian officer for Wem'Afrika, and it's a privilege to be a keynote speaker for today's virtual training. So this program is not just a training, it is a movement, it is a policy, it is a human rights conversation, and most importantly, it is a dignity conversation. Menstruation is not just shameful. Menstruation is not shameful, sorry, it is not dirty. It shouldn't be considered as a weakness amongst communities. It is a natural biological process that reflects strength and life. Yet, across many communities nowadays, menstruation is surrounded by silence, stigma, and misinformation. Many people have misconceptions about menstrual health, which we are here today to correct. So globally, menstrual health is recognized as part of the right to health, the right to education, and the right to dignity under the International Human Rights Framework. But when girls miss school because they lack sanitary products or safe facilities, that is not a private matter. It is a government it is a government failure. And when menstrual products are unaffordable or inaccessible for girls and women, it becomes a matter of economic policy. So menstrual health connects directly to the Sustainable Development Goals 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is good health. Uh, Sorry for the noise, which is good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation respectfully. Access to safe toilets, clean water, and affordable menstrual products is not a luxury. It is a basic right. So in many African countries today, policy discussions are now expanding to include menstrual hygiene management in schools, which is a good approach, tax reforms on sanitary products, and integration of menstrual education into national curricula. So these policies shifts are necessary, very necessary for young girls and for the community. But policies alone are not enough. Communities must engage. Communities must engage and talk more about menstruation, raise more awareness. Families must support each other with regards to menstruation, and schools must educate students about menstrual hygiene. And today we also raise awareness about environmental policy concerns, including microplastics in some sanitary products and the environmental impact of improper disposal. Sustainable menstrual choices are part of responsible citizenship. That is why this program today matters, because if we help to build confidence, promote promote right awareness, strengthen agencies, and encourage leadership. So at the end of this session, 10 ambassadors will be selected. They will not simply represent a program, they will they will also represent change. They will be equipped with t-shirts, booklets, and guidance to communicate menstrual awareness in their communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Claudine, for your keynote speak. It was quite
Thank you,
helpful,
ma'am.
and we were able to learn something and create more awareness about this subject. So our first speaker is Dr. Nathaniel. Sorry. Dr. Nathaniel is a medical practitioner, a public health advocate, a social impact leader passionate about public health advancement and youth empowerment. He is a founder of Optimum Health Global, a non-profit community health organization, a medical director at Optimum Medical Diagnostics Center, which provides accurate, timely, and advanced diagnostic services, a trainer, a coach, and a mentor. With experience in health education, community outreach, and program coordination, OG has led multiple health campaigns, medical outreach, and professional development initiatives, impacting students, healthcare providers, and local communities. He is deeply committed to empowering women, young professionals with knowledge, confidence, and practical tools for growth. As a trainer, he brings energy, clarity, and real-world experience to inspire meaningful change and leadership. Thank you very much, Dr. Nathaniel. Please, you can proceed with your presentation. You're muted, please.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you can get me. Please, if you can get me clearly, just kindly use your chat section or emoji so that I'm aware that you're following. Are you there? Just use the emojis so that I can see that. All right. All right. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wem'Afrika, for this opportunity to share my knowledge on menstruation and understanding menstruation. I just want to say that it's a very vital subject and very timely as well. And I'd like to congratulate the team for putting up this. I'll just share a little background before getting into the main scenario. Participated in the cervical cancer awareness campaign in the month of January, where we reached out to schools, high schools and secondary schools. And unfortunately, a lot of people reached out, or a lot of young girls tried to reach out asking questions, not even about the subject, but slightly on reproductive health and mostly menstruation. But one thing I got to understand within that particular period was that a lot more of these young girls preferred to talk about it in silence, as in they did not want the next person to hear about it. And others were like, they were asking the questions as though it was another person who needed the answer. And it just, when you tell them that, oh, you should be working with the menstrual part around, they are just like, I mean, that's a taboo. So menstrual or conversations regarding menstruation seems like a taboo in most developing countries today. And so um, I'm so happy that this thing is coming up now. I'll just go straight to the point. First of all, what is menstruation? Menstruation is the monthly flow of blood from the vagina, and that's to understand it in simple terms. Now, let me relate it. Just take your body as a room, and then take your body as a house and your womb as a room. Normally, when somebody has to visit you, of course, you will have to clean the room and make sure everything is okay to have that guest comfortable. It's the same way your womb has been fashioned. Remember, the reproductive system is you have your fallopian tubes, or you have the ovaries where the eggs are being made from. You have the fallopian tubes where the egg travels through. You have the womb where the baby is supposed to be there, is supposed to live, and then you have the cervix and the vagina. So let's focus with this picture in mind. Now, um, your womb is that room that is expecting a visitor. And so, by the way God has made your system, every month your womb is supposed to be having somebody sit there. So by normalcy, you are supposed to be getting pregnant every month. But when you don't get pregnant every month, your womb starts shedding off. So what sheds off is the internal lining, as in the layers of your womb, start shedding off that you see as blood, and it's termed menstruation. So you see that it's a normal biological process of your body, and it's almost the same, like you developing breast, or you developing um, your buttock starts expanding as a lady. You start having breast enlargement and all of that. So it's the same thing, and so it doesn't need you to be ashamed of it. So how does this process takes place? A lot more girls do not know their menstrual cycle. Now, the cycle is the first day the period starts to the first day it starts again the next month. That is your cycle. Your cycle, let's say your period starts on March 1st, 2026. and then you see your period again on the 28th, on the 28th of March of April. Sorry, on the 1st of April. You count between the 1st of March and the 1st of April. Then you will know that particular period. You will know whether you have a 28-day cycle, or you have a 35-day cycle, a 31, a 29, all of that. That is how you are able to know your period or your cycle length. Now, day 1 to day 5, it's the day where you must probably, or you may probably be experiencing the blood leaving your vagina. Most probably, the egg was unable to attach to the womb, or the visitor was unable to visit you, and of course, your womb starts crying. In medical terms, we call it the disappointed womb. So the womb starts crying, and you see blood flowing out of your vagina, for those particular period of days. Now, from day 1 to day 13, if you're having a 28-day cycle, from day 1 to day 13, that is your luteal phase. Your luteal phase is when the body starts preparing itself to be able to release an egg. So remember, I said the ovaries. So the body starts preparing the eggs starts forming at the level of your ovaries. Remember, every one of us were once an egg. You are looking at me, you were once an egg, and now you're a full matured adult. So from the egg, you travel through the fallopian tubes, you got now to the womb, where you are expecting the sperm. Now, this is where the sperm is supposed to get into is supposed to, assuming that you had sexual intercourse, and then the sperm now have to travel from the vagina to the cervix right up. Now, the egg is waiting. Now, if you had sexual intercourse, of course, it's going to be fertilized between that day 13, day 14. But if you do not have sexual intercourse, of course, you can't be pregnant by drinking sperms. So if you do not have sexual intercourse, you will be okay. The egg is going to stay there until after he sees that the visitor he was expecting did not come. The body now, or your womb, starts getting thicker, and then the blood starts shedding off within those period of days. Some people may flow for 3 days, some people may flow for 5 days. Within a period of time, that is what is known as a menstruation. Blood starts coming out. Now, is disappointed on day 14, which is the half day. If you're having a 28-day cycle, is what is known as ovulation. Now, this particular aspect, or this particular section of the menstrual cycle, a lot more ladies do not know about it, and so it has led to a lot of, should I say, permit me to say, unwanted pregnancy. Some people will tell you, I got pregnant even without knowing, and I stayed 2 months, 4 months, and all of that. That's because they were unable to have a full track of their cycle, or understand when their ovulation day is at the peak. So on the 14th day, if you are using a 28-day cycle, remember, 28-day cycle, it should be that less, or 35 that high. So anywhere within that period is okay, is normal. So if you are, let me go again with 28-day cycle. 28-day cycle, 14th day, half of that cycle counts half of 35, half of 28, half of 31, half of which those numbers. That is your ovulation day, where the egg is fully out. You are ovulating, and of course, you are going to be experiencing changes in discharge. You're going to be experiencing some physical changes and all of that. Are we following? You're going to be experiencing those physical changes and all of that. And then thereafter, if nothing happens, you will menstruate, and your body starts preparing again for the next cycle to occur. Now, there are some particular things that you will definitely be experiencing that tells you that, oh, your period is coming. And sometimes we termed it known as the premenstrual syndrome, PMS. And a lot of people do not know about this. Your PMS is that thing that tells you that, okay, your period is coming and you should start preparing for it. The first thing that you're going to be experiencing is, some people experience acne. They just start getting you within a particular period of time. Your acne, I mean, you do not have acne on your face, but I'm talking about pimples. And then within this particular period of time, pimples everywhere on your face, and everybody's just like, hey, you had a smooth face. That's PMS. The next thing is that you become uncontrollable, you become too beautiful. Yeah, you become too beautiful. Everybody just starts telling you that. I think it's that oil your boy. It is not, is no oil. Even if you don't put on oil or you don't rub oil, you are still very beautiful within that period of time. That's because hormone levels are too up. The next aspect is that you may be so attached to the opposite sex. Yeah, that's also telling you that your ovulation period is going close, and you should be aware, because if you're not aware, of course, you'll be tempted and all of that. And the next thing is cramps. A lot of lady experience cramps, painful, very severe cramps. Now, let me explain why you have cramps. Number one, cramps are being generated from a system or a process in your body because of hormones. And the particular hormone responsible for this is a prostaglandin hormone. Now, the way prostaglandin has been formed prostaglandin is a chemical in your body that is responsible for the menstrual cycle as well. Now, in some people, prostaglandin is low, and in some people is high. And to some people, when it's high, they will experience these severe menstrual cramps. To some people, even though it is high, they will not experience it because their their pain window is too tiny, as in they don't feel pain. They can resist pain. Now, not resisting pain as in the pain is there, then they resist. No, the pain is not even there at all. The next thing that happens is that your womb sits on nerves and blood vessels. And so when prostaglandin is produced, it squeezes up the nerves and the blood vessels, and of course, you start experiencing the pain. Are we together? So prostaglandin is the reason why you're experiencing pain during menstruation. And of course, um, this is just the entirety of how your body works, or how God has made your system to look like when it has to do with menstruation. It is not a taboo. It is not something that you have to be, you have to be shy. No, 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 no. You don't have to be shy. To start your menstrual period or your menstrual cycle and all of that, or you menstruating, is a normal conversation it's equivalent to every other health developmental aspect of your body. If you were short a few years ago and now you are tall, it's the same way with menstruation. When you are growing, that is how menstruation changes over time. If you notice, people who have given birth, they do not experience, or they have, most of them do not experience pain again during menstruation. That's because as you grow old, your system changes, and pain is more common with teenagers than adults. At this point in time, I think I'd welcoming questions if you have, or I will hand the floor back to um, Wem'Afrika for continuation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nathaniel, for your explanation. I was really thinking a lot as being a female, thinking what we go through. Do we really understand about the menstrual cycle? When you listen from a doctor, the way they explain it, it's more practical. You really understand. You really try to really get a grasp of what it feels like to be menstruated, what it feels like to be a woman. And when you have such discussions, you really encourage men to really participate in such discussions. So when they're talking to their girls, when they're talking to their sisters, they're talking to their partners, they can really explain it from a place of understanding, from a place of depth. I don't know if we have any questions. We can take like two questions before we continue. Do you have any questions for Dr. Nathaniel? Okay, doctor, I think after the sessions, we might have questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. So our next speaker is, sorry, I can get you well. Our next speaker is Manka Awason. She's a researcher, a policy analyst, a published author, and executive director of Dynamic Global Governance Group, a Women Deliver Fellow, and a grantee. She's passionate about the advocacy for sexual and reproductive health and rights in Cameroon. She conceptualized the flagship program, Health for Women, that provides essential health access to women in vulnerable communities. Manka also serves as the creative director and co-host of the African podcast, where sustainable development and narrative that shapes the continent are championed through discussions. Thank you very much, Manka, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that impeccable and yet very humbling introduction. I hope everyone can hear me very well. Please, if you can hear me, just indicate with an icon. Thank you. So while we do so, I will proceed to share my screen because I had a little presentation prepared, and then I will switch off my video just for convenience sake. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. So today I will be discussing proper use, disposal of menstrual products and safe hygiene. And before we get into that, I know that it's very important for us to understand why we have to know how to use our menstrual products and why safe hygiene practices during this time of the month is very important. For me, the answer is very simple. This is my own simple explanation, and it's just that these practices empowers you to manage your reproductive health with a lot of confidence while protecting your own long-term and physical well-being. You guys should just give me 1 minute. Let me stop the noise that is coming from outside. Thank you very much. So we all know that, the visitor shows up every month without an invitation. Some of us call it flash, some people call it red moon, in the marketplaces, in the quarter, what we like to whisper about it as if it's some kind of contraband topic. And if you have noticed, I wrote add menstrual hygiene and I put a dark line over it, and followed by I put the word menstrual health and dignity. Even when I was introducing my topic here, I included menstrual health and dignity. And the reason I did that is because the word hygiene when it comes to the topic of menstruation it's very much debated, especially in the academic world today. Because hygiene itself it's rooted in the medical sense, in the medical and sanitation sector. And in African cultures, menstruation is typically shrouded in the midst of ritual impurity or being dirty. So using the word hygiene can accidentally reinforce the idea that a menstruating person is unhygienic and they need to be clean. So personally, I think that the word menstrual health and dignity takes back that power, and it's something to be encouraged when talking about this particular topic. So now, let's talk about what we use when the monthly visitor comes, right? And there are many ways to catch the flow. Some use their throwaway parts. That's fine. In Cameroon, we have these eco-friendly parts that have been made from banana stems. I don't know if anyone has heard of them before. If you've heard of them, I would like to see you react with an icon. And, I think that those are better. They're eco-friendly, they're better for the environment. We also have the menstrual cup, which I can personally attest to. When you start using it, it's a little uncomfortable, but it's very good. And it's also better for the environment. As you can see, you can use one menstrual cup for a period of 10 years. You use and it's durable. And then of course you have your emergency, I don't want to call them emergency rack because that's what some people actually do use. But I'm pleading with you guys, do not use rough old towels or wrappers. Like if you must use them, it should be cotton and it should be boiled and it should be sun-dried. So that takes us to the conversation of maintenance, the golden rule of maintenance when you are, the golden rules of maintenance when you are menstruating. My sisters, you must change your pad, like the way you change your baby's diapers, you have to change your pad very frequently to avoid infection. And stop using strong smelling soaps down there. You don't need to smell like a perfume factory. Water is your best friend. We also know about the one traffic front to back when you're wiping yourself, when you do number two, the toilet, front to back, not back to front, because you can bring infections all the way up there. And yeah, I've already mentioned that we should not use harsh soaps. The vagina is a self-cleaning oven. We're taught that in biology in primary school, and I'm just reinforcing that and stating it again. For anybody who do not know that the vaginal self-cleans itself. So you don't need to use very harsh soaps down there to try to smell like roses or anything. No one should deceive you that you need to smell like roses. Now let's move on and talk about how we dispose of these things that we use. I know that in Cameroon, we typically have drainage problems with our toilets, and I'm just letting you know today that if you're adding a pad into your toilet, it will come back to you in the streets. So if that is something that you have been practicing, please, when you leave this training today, stop it right away. Nicely wrap up your pads and put it in a bin. You should have a separate bin where you drop your pads. And don't throw pads also in the latrines for those who use big toilets. I'm trying to speak to our own cultural context. So I know that there are people who have access to these, and it's very important that you don't throw your pads in there. And I'm also going to talk about burning and burying, which is a long old practice for us here in Cameroon and for most people in Africa. And I say last resort, and I said it's controversial because, when you come back, the environmentalists here will tell you that burning it is not good for the environment. And until, the practice of using more sustainable and eco-friendly menstrual products are nationwide available and accessible. In the meantime, these are just some of the ways that people are encouraged to get rid of this menstrual product. So I just said, let me speak about it because that's a reality to our own environment. Now, yes, some very important advice about reusable pads because I know that is very common. That is very common. My grandmother used to tell me that this is what she used. I remember my grandmother would always say, "This one a pad, then when I go buy, when I waste money, go buy pad. Why you need to use? You need to make your own pad, use them for house, So I just want to speak to that. If you have your reusable pads, the one that they made, always soak it in cold water first. Hot water will help clot the blood in it. So always soak it in cold water first. You do your first washing, and then maybe you can later on put hot water if you're comfortable that it will help disinfect. But if you soak it in cold water and you use a mild detergent, that can also help. Scrub with a very mild soap, as I said. Sun kills the bacteria. I know that as Africans, we have the shy factor a lot. There's a lot of shame when it comes to just managing ourselves when it comes to menstruation. Don't be afraid to use your reusable pads on your balcony. The neighbor can see it. If the neighbor knows a woman, the neighbor came from a woman, or the neighbor is a woman. So it's okay to air dry your reusable pads and do so confidently. Okay. So, sorry, I was briefly interrupted. Before we wrap up, I want us to quickly address some myths and red flags when managing your menstruation. Let's just clear the air. Sometimes I've heard people even say you're not supposed to be cooking, that some cultures that don't allow women to cook, to touch plants, you know. So they said that you're not supposed to exercise very hard. Personally, when I used to exercise, it makes me feel better. And just to piggyback off what Dr. Nathaniel said about menstrual pain getting better after you give birth. I wanted to start with that for God. I can actually attest to that because I'm a mother of two. As a teenager, I had painful periods, but after I gave birth, I don't even have them again. So any young girls here listening, if that's a gleam of hope that you can hang on to, I just wanted to, attest to what he said. So yes, your period is your life. It's not poison, so you're not impure when you're menstruating. You can definitely go about your day-to-day life normally, and we encourage that should happen. You should not interrupt with your day-to-day life. And if you get any smell or discharge before or after, please, that's a red flag. Visit your healthcare provider. Change your pads. If you have to change your pad every hour and it heavily soaks, that's a red flag, and you should definitely visit the doctor. I know that we are fond of relying on say advice from the neighbor, sometimes even rely on traditional herbs and all of that. Anything that has not been researched, doesn't have scientific backing, most often than not, please go to your doctor and talk to your doctor. That is what is advised. Finally, I just really want to let everyone know that we are agents of our own health and our well-being. And in some cases, we are the backbone of our families. If we stay healthy, the house stands strong. So let's stop the shame about menstruating. Let's talk about it. Let the men talk about it. If you're a mom, you have boys and girls, teach both of them, educate both of them about it. Because while the girl is taking care of herself, a boy can be accommodating of her during that time of the month. In our schools, let's talk about it. Girls who are engaging in sporting activities in schools, like female football, female basketball. Let's teach them how to manage themselves in the locker rooms when changing, how to manage themselves during that time of the month. Let's teach young girls how to embrace themselves, even if they stain themselves, how to be able to manage that. There's dignity in every drop. So if there are any questions, I would like to receive them. If not, I have my own question, and I hope that there's somebody here that can answer it. So I'll just go ahead to ask my question. If you're an auntie to a young girl who has just started seeing her period, and you give her 1,500 francs to, purchase her pad, and she goes and see a cheaper one for 300 francs that, has some plastic around it and all of that. And she tells you that she prefers to buy the cheaper one because, that's what she thinks that it's more affordable. What advice will you have for her? Please, can anybody answer that? Anyways, no
Manka,
one.
please, could you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, so I was saying that if you're an auntie or a mom or just an elder person in the house and you have a younger girl who has just started menstruating and you give her 1,500 francs to purchase her sanitary pad, and then she goes and sees this cheap, affordable one, that has some plastic in made of 300, that costs 300 francs, and she tells you that that's what she thinks that she can be using because financial wise, it's more sustainable for her. What will your advice for her be?
All right, Manka, I will just give my own opinion. So,
Okay.
she's a teenager. So obviously they always think about how they can reduce costs, how it can be more sustainable to them. So Um, Maybe it's the environment or where she's coming from. Maybe where she's coming from, they're not really stable financially. So I would advise her to buy something that is more affordable for her. And maybe in the long run, instead of me giving her the money, prefer I buy it for her and then I buy it for her and she uses it than me sending her to go and buy, because when I keep giving her the money to pay to purchase the pad, she prefer
Yeah.
the cheaper one than the expensive one.
Thank you so much. That's a very brilliant answer. I don't know, when I was even posing that question in mind, I did not even think about managing the situation first, like actually not shaming her about wanting to get a cheaper one, especially if that's what she can afford. So thank you for that very brilliant answer. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Once more, I am Mankama for Awasum. That is my email stated there. You can catch me on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And I look forward to talking, collaborating, and hearing from all of you here today beyond this conversation. Thank you for a great time. Thank you so much, Wem'Afrika. It's always a pleasure collaborating and talking to you all. I participated in one of your programs last year, Still Menstruation My Pride, and it was very impactful. So thank you for continuously doing this, and we'll continuously adding our voice to yours to this very vital and important topic. Thank you, everyone. I hope you did enjoy my presentation.
Thank you very much, Manka, for your presentation. In regards to the taboo, we as women, it's not easy. We try, but shame and communication matters a lot when it comes to these issues with regards to health. And let us be aware that the culture where we belong, it's part of it. It's part of it. So the more we have conversations about this, the more we involve more gender such conversations, it becomes now more normal, more easy to talk about it and feel more comfortable about it. I think the issue we really face now is to talk about it with teenagers and children as well. How can we tell them these things happen? What should they do? How should they communicate with them? I remember when I was in school, and there was a girl we had I went to Catholic school. So a girl who were about to attend mass. She sat for some few minutes. When she woke up, her dress was stained with blood. And guess what happened? The first person that helped her was a girl. But the boys were behind her. They were not shaming her or anything. She felt like, when you're feeling comfortable. She was not embarrassed. The next day she came to school and she was okay. That means the environment made her feel more comfortable. So the more we have such discussions, the more we tell women about it, the more we educate teenagers about such subjects, the environment, the people around them makes them feel more comfortable and able to express themselves. So thank you very much, Manka, for your presentation. I don't know if you have a question for Manka before we proceed. Oh God. No question yet. Okay. So our next thing is about talking about the My Menstruation, My Pride, what happened last year. We had it at Yopo. So I'm going to show you guys a video before we invite our next speaker. Let's see if you can share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Oh, God.
My name is Agnes. I'm the unit head of the gender department at Wem'Afrika, Cameroon. So my menstruation, my pride, is a movement born out to create awareness in the youth community, the young girls, to learn about menstruation, menstrual hygiene, and their reproductive rights. Your body is prepared to have the baby. We are here today to talk about the stigma around menstruation. It's an initiative that has been occurring for a very long time now. And today, together with sponsors, we came together to see how we can take it to the next level. It's not just for today, it's an annual program that will continue to give this knowledge, the skills and knowledge and access to menstrual pads, wipes, and menstrual beads to help these young girls to understand their reproductive rights, to learn what menstruation is all about, and to stop the stigma and taboo in communities. Today, the Yupo community was excited to receive this My Menstruation, My Pride, because they want to learn, they want to know what is it all about. There is a lot of unwanted pregnancies in Yupo, and from our program today, we realized that most of these girls are receptive to this program and they want more people to come and understand what is it all about. It does not end here. We have My Menstruation, My Pride. It's the transition to another level, which we are currently working on an amazing workshop, menopause. This is another topic that is not being discussed in community and women are suffering. So our long term for this project is to invite stakeholders to help us start around menstruation talk, menopause talk, to help more women to go out there and feel confident about themselves.
I hope you guys enjoyed our video. That's what we did last year. We reached out to 140 teenagers, talk about menstruation. As Mankat said, she was there for the first edition, and she was one of our partners for the program. And this year, we visited St. John of God, in primary school, Bonati Combo, and we have sorry. We have one of our officers, Veronica. We're going to talk about more about this project. So before we continue, let's just watch this video.
Hi, my name is Veronica Richtinga, and I'm a child protection officer at Wem'Afrika. I am here to carry out a project at St. John of God Nursery and Primary School, Wem'Afrika, my floor. And this project is called My Menstruation, My Pride. As you can see, I'm putting on my t-shirt. And we are going to talk to a group of 50 girls from class 4 to class 6. We are going to tell them that menstruation is not something they should be ashamed about. And when they see their periods, they should know that it is a normal part of growth. And we would love to thank our sponsors, the Watershed Club, and the other Sunrise Virtual. Thank
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So Veronica, please could you tell us more about the project? Let me see. Let's see. Veronica, are you there? Veronica? Veronica? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yes, please, I was disconnected.
Yeah, please can you tell us about the project that you held at St. John of God, Bonadi Combo?
Okay. We held this project and it was amazing because I had the opportunity to speak to 50 girls, and these girls are very young. So it was kind of a very sensitive topic just to introduce what menstruation is all about to them. And luckily, I was guided. Their teachers also assisted me in this facilitation of the program. And when we spoke to these girls, they were all happy. And shockingly, some of these girls have started seeing their periods. And there was this little girl, she actually helped because when you bring out the topic to talk to young girls, they sometimes are scared. But if one of their friends can actually explain it better to them, they were very happy. So I was so happy. And when we went there, we actually shared out some booklets, and this booklet was talking about a story of a little girl who has seen her period and how she manages that process. Then I also taught them how to put on their pads and how to dispose their pads when this happens. And I got some questions from them like, what if you live where you don't have pad? What if you have a teacher in, because I told them if you see your period in class, watch to your teacher. And one of them asked me a question like, what if your teacher is a male teacher? What you do about it? And the questions I got from them were very challenging, because I got that particular question, and I also got a question from them like, what if you are seeing your period in an environment where you can't get access to pads? What should you do about it? And I also had a question on why are boys not in class learning about this? Why is it only girls? And then I actually tried to answer some of those questions, but they're very challenging because, as I said, they are kids, and I have to be very careful the way I respond to their questions. Then we had the opportunity to share the booklets, then some colors where they could color the characters in the booklet, and then we also shared out some t-shirts to them. And it was we started at 9 o'clock and we ended at exactly 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. in the morning. And that was just it. Then we spent some time with the children, then we left the environment.
Thank you very much, Vero, for telling us about the project, how it was well spent. And I have a question. With regards to the teachers and the students, how was the relationship when it comes to menstruation? Did the teachers really had the teacher always asked them about their menstruation, or rather, it was the first time for them hearing about menstruation? Did you have any idea about it, or?
Yes, I asked the teachers and they told me it's their first time.
Okay.
But the children told me that there was an NGO who came to them and spoke to them about menstruation, but they were not detailed as I was. So I was happy that I actually went in detail to like show them how to put on their pads and demonstrate other things. So, but the teachers told me they have not taught the children about menstruation.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you too.
So move to our next speaker. Okay. Hold on, please. So we'll move to our next speaker. Her name is Ngum Nancy Mbogwe. She's a Cameroonian scholar. Excuse me. Ngum Nancy Mbogwe, she's a Cameroonian scholar, activist, monitoring and evaluation officer at Hope for Better Tomorrow. Her work is driven by both professional expertise and life experience, a journey of resilience shaped by the realities of being a single mother raising her son in Cameroon. She holds a degree in management and entrepreneurship and a master's degree in logistics and transport management. With over 2 years of hands-on experience in community engagement and advocacy, she has helped played a key role in advancing gender equality, sexual and reproductive health and rights, conflict mitigations, peace building, and humanitarian response initiative. Nancy has led and supported sensitization campaigns and educational programs targeting adolescent girls, young women, and broader communities. Through her efforts, she has increased awareness on gender-based violence, strengthened knowledge of sexual and reproductive health, promoted menstrual hygiene management, and supported the reintegration of survivors of sexual and gender-based violence into their communities. Her work has contributed to improve community dialogue, greater inclusion of survivors, and stronger grassroots advocacy structures. Drawing from her personal experience as a single mother, she connects authentically with young people, particularly young girls, inspiring them to understand their rights, build resilience, and pursue their goals despite social and economic challenges. She transformed her personal hardship into purpose action, using her voice and leadership to challenge harmful norms and promote dignity and empowerment. Her mission remains focused on delivering measurable impact, empowering women and girls, strengthening accountability in development programs, and advancing inclusive community-driven humanitarian action. Thank you very much, Nancy. The floor is yours. Nancy, can you hear me? You're muted.
Good day, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Sorry for that. I was trying to see if I can share my screen, but I'm facing difficulties with that. I'm called Nancy, and good afternoon to everybody. I am the M&E officer for Hope for a Better Tomorrow. So I don't know, is it okay if I just switch my camera to my laptop? You're muted.
The presentation you sent to me, the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, but I have a little bit of adjustment because I needed to do training on menstrual beads and I have the menstrual cycle. It's not on that document.
Oh, okay. You can just send to me on WhatsApp if that's okay. Or will it take a while?
Let me send to you on WhatsApp.
Okay. Hope you guys are enjoying the session. Any questions so far? Anything you want to know about Wem'Afrika? I'll we wait for Nancy's presentation.
Please, for the meantime that you're waiting for it, let me just start. Is that okay? All right, today I'm going to be training each and everyone here on bead tutorials. That's bead training on menstrual hygiene, but I want us to understand something. Cycle tracking. When we hear cycle tracking, what do we understand cycle tracking is all about? Cycle tracking is all about monitoring your menstrual cycle to understand your body. It records the first day of your menses and subsequent symptoms to understand your cycle length, predict ovulation, and monitor health. So cycle tracking, it's all about monitoring the menstrual cycle by recording the first day of bleeding and also the last day, the duration, the symptoms, the intensity, ovulation, and fertile days. Now, how do you track your menstrual cycle? How do you track your menstrual cycle? You mark the first day of your bleeding on your calendar. For those who have a calendar or for those who have an app, you can download an app on your phone to track your menstrual cycle every month. You can mark on that calendar the first day of your bleeding. You continue tracking it daily, including flow heaviness. Is the flow light? Is it medium? Is it heavy? You also pay attention to the pains, the level, and the physical symptoms. Why do we track our menstrual cycles? We track our menstrual cycles because we want to predict our period and plan ahead of time. We track it also because without you tracking your menstrual cycle, you always get to find yourself embarrassed in a situation where you need to be moving around the pad just in case. In a situation, let me take for example, for someone who has a 32-day menstrual cycle like me, when I'm done with my cycle, when I am done with my cycle, like I'm on the 32-day, what I do is I have a pad that I put inside my bag. Why? Because your menses you know that it comes after the 32-day for someone with the 32-day cycle, but now it does not give you the time, it does not give you the and all that, you just have to sit down and expect as if it's a visitor who never gave you the time or the day he or she is coming to pay you a visit. 1 minute, please. Okay, I've sent it to you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Why we also track our cycle is because it helps us identify a fertility window for pregnancy or contraception. So those who want to get pregnant, it helps you to know when it's that period for you to get pregnant. Or for those who are preventing getting pregnant and when it's really nice and okay for you to use contraceptive. It also helps to spot irregularities and potential health issues. It helps to manage symptoms like cramp, mood swings, and acne. These cramps, okay, pause. Thank you. When we talk about cramps, when we talk about mood swings, it varies persons to persons when we're menstruating. There's some people that when their menses is around the corner, they have swollen breasts, they have a lower abdominal cramps, they have acne on their face, what we usually call pimples. Those are signs that their menses is around the corner. Some people don't find it comfortable when they have acne on their face and they have a way of managing it. So when you track your cycle, you know that this period of my life or this period of the month is where I see my menses. You start putting together all those things you need, all those requirements you need to manage all those symptoms that comes along with your menses. For cramping, people have different medications they take, different home remedies they take to be able to take care of their situation. For me, my mood swing is when I'm about my menses, I eat a lot. I just like eating anything I see that I know I can eat, I eat. So with that, it helps me manage my mood swings when it comes to food. Okay, another reason why we track our menstrual cycle, it helps us when you have a healthcare situation, or maybe you're sick, when you go to the hospital and during that period where the doctor wants to prescribe you drugs, the first thing they do is they ask you as a lady, when did you last see your menses? But there are some medications that cannot, your menses cannot interrupt or they cannot go alongside with your menstrual cycle. So they always ask this information to be able to know how to prescribe you medications and the healthcare you need and give you the healthcare that you need. We have practical demonstration on how to make menstrual beads. I don't know this. I want to share my screen. But before that, I want us to understand something. What menstrual cycle normally, what when we do a calculation or when we are doing a teaching on menstrual cycle, we usually use the 28 days menstrual cycle, and ovulation is always around the 14th day. Now, but let's take into consideration that this is based on assumption and people's menstrual cycles they vary. And menstrual cycles they vary as from 21 days menstrual cycle to 35 days menstrual cycle. And the length of your menstrual cycle. Okay. And most people have their periods, or what we call bleeding, between the period of 3 to 7 days. Is that okay? So, Mark, please, can you help me switch to my screen? We're going to do the practical demonstration on how to calculate your menstrual cycle. I'm going to be using it.
Excuse me, should I stop sharing?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Before we go further, is there any question? Do we understand so far what I've been trying to pass on? Please, if
Yes,
you understand.
Yes,
yes, I have a question.
Okay, please.
Yes, my name is Ezekiel, and you you started talking about tracking your menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
Yes, so I want to ask, what about those in the rural areas, especially those in the villages? Uh, I mean, young girls in the villages living with their grandmothers and all that, who know nothing about this uh, tracking system, how to know their menstrual cycle. And girls like that, how do they get to know about an education like this or something like this? How do they get to know that on this particular date I should be expecting my menses or something like that? Those who are, in the villages. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. All right. What we do at Hope for a Better Tomorrow every year, like Madam Pauline presented earlier, that they carry out menstrual hygiene annually. The same thing with Hope, we carry out menstrual hygiene annually. And what we do is we target those suburbs, we target those hard to reach areas with information, we educate them on their menstrual cycle. Like when I said earlier, I said you can use an app or a calendar. For people in those areas, in those communities where they have difficulties to have access to apps to use in their phones, you don't have phones, what we do is we teach you manually on how to calculate your menstrual cycle. We use community media to do sensitization. Okay, when we go to these communities, we give them menstrual kits that contains pads, pants, hand towels, a bar of soap, a bucket. So we teach them on how to calculate their menstrual cycle. We teach them on all the various menstrual cycles that are available. So what we advise them to do is, for those who don't have the access to a phone, to use the app, you get a calendar. You track your cycle for 3 days. For 3 months. You track your cycle for 3 months to be able to know which cycle is yours, which cycle pertains to you. For those who are unable to use a phone. Then also we use community media to carry out sensitization to reach out to those people in far off areas on menstrual hygiene. I don't know if your question is answered.
Yes, thank you. Especially on the community information system. I think that's okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your question. Any other question for me?
Yes, I have another question.
Okay.
That would be on the tracking using beats. I don't know if it's spoken of or.
Okay. So my next session now, I'm going to be training on how to use menstrual beads to track your cycle.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
don't know if during the session I can be able to answer your question. Is that okay?
All right. Yes.
Let's proceed. So today we're going to be doing menstrual beads that will assist us to track our menstrual cycle. So I'm going to be using the colors red, watercolor beads, or I call it transparent beads. We use black and we use orange. Now the red beads will be used for our bleeding days. The transparent beads or the watercolor beads will represent our unfertile days or our unfertile windows. We have the black beads that will represent our fertile days or fertile windows. Oh, yeah. Then we have the orange beads that represents our ovulation. Is that okay? So this is the red beads for our bleeding days, the transparent beads or the watercolor beads for our unfertile days, the black beads for our fertile days, the orange color beads for our ovulation. Is that okay? Then we also have a twine. We have twine and scissors. The scissors is used to cut the twine to be able to carry out this process. Okay. Firstly, we start with a twine. When you take a twine, is everybody following? Are we there? Can I get some reactions if we're
Yes,
following?
it's following.
Okay. The first thing you do is you take a twine. You knot it under. Why do you knot it? So that when you put in the beads, it should not fall off. Now, before we go there, we have various cycles, like I said. I'd already had prepared the various cycles, making assumptions that we bleed for 4 days. So I will start with a 28-day menstrual cycle. When you take your twine, let's assume the person started, we'll use the month of January 2026. The person started on the first day of January, which is a Thursday, and the person bled for 4 days. So we're going to use 4 red beads to represent the person's red days, the person's bleeding days. So this is what I do. I put it here. This is 4. All right. Now, for the person saved it immediately after their menses for a 28-day cycle. The person has 4 days that is considered saved days. So we take our transparent beads, we take 4 of them, we put Are we seeing? So this is the person's saved days after menstruation. Now the person's on saved days after menstruation, they are 5. Why 5? Normally, a person with a period of 28 days cycle ovulates on the 14th day. Now, we have climatic conditions that might hinder you to either ovulate on that 40 day and might cause your ovulation to move either backwards or forward. Now, to move backward, it can move as 2 days backward or 2 days forward. Now, we add additional 3 days forward, reason being that for those of us who are sexually active and we don't want to get pregnant, from studies and from research that I know, if I'm not correct, I'm sure Doc is going to help me. Sperm cells, healthy sperm cells last on your body for 3 days. So in a case where your ovulation has moved from day 14 to day 12 of your menstrual cycle, because you start counting your menstrual cycle from the day you had your menses, there's a high tendency or there's a high possibility that you can get pregnant. So what we do is we still shift 3 days away from that unsafe days on your ovulation to avoid getting pregnant. So those who don't want to get pregnant. So we have summed it up to 5. So you will put your black beads, 5 of them before your ovulation to indicate as your fertile days. So if we count so far, we have 13 beads already. So I'm going to put my ovulation bead, which is the orange bead. For those, again, who don't want to get pregnant, right? who are sexually active. You step away 2 days away after your ovulation to be sure and safe that if I have intercourse, I will not get pregnant. So we put our 2 black beads. This is our black bead. So this is our red days, our unsafe days before ovulation, our safe days before ovulation, unsafe days before ovulation, ovulation, unsafe days after ovulation. So after which we have we have 12 days. We have 12 days after ovulation considered as safe days. I don't know if I have a question. It goes same for other cycles. Due to time, I will not be able to educate on the other cycles, but I'm going to drop my email on the comment section for those who are interested to know about the other cycles, to get to me personally, and my email and my contact to get to me personally, and I'll train them on how to go about producing their menstrual beads for the other cycles. Is that okay? Are we there?
Yes.
Yes, we
Is
are.
everybody following? It's like it's Mr. Ezekiel that is only commenting.
We are. We're just being amazed
We are
by.
following. It's been amazing.
All right. Thank you very much. For the other cycles, I've already given my presentation to Madame Pauline. You can also get to her. She could share my slides with you for better understanding. So our next presentation is going to be on how beads support cycle awareness. Menstrual beads support cycle awareness by acting as a tangible, visible, and daily tracking tool for women's cycle, allowing that woman, allowing me, you to understand our body. How does it help to create that awareness? Through visual tracking of a cycle, fertility in identification, just like how I did it here. We have educational, and it's user friendly. To answer Mr. Ezekiel's question, with this, you don't need an app. With this, you can just go into the market, you get beads, you go into a community where there is network issues, people are having it difficult to have phones, a lack of education, and you just train them on this. I carry this on my hand, I move around. This is mine. Anywhere I find myself, if I don't have internet connection, I can track my cycle using this. Okay. It also helps us to monitor our cycle, also helps us to manage pregnancy in situations where if you don't want to get pregnant, you know how to manage it. If you want to get pregnant, you know how to manage it. Okay. Here comes the end of my presentation. If there are questions for me, I would love to hear them and answer. Thank you very much.
Please, I would just briefly like to ask, maybe I missed it, but what is the success rate? Like how is it like a 90? Like how much can you rely on the beats? I mean, I'm just curious.
For someone, I cannot really put a rate on it. You can only do it individually. Okay. For someone who uses this daily and pays attention to it, it's 100%. Let me say it's a 98% success rate. If you pay attention to it, because for me, I bleed for 5 days. When I know that, or rather, should I say, is it fortunate or unfortunate? Today is my bleeding day and it has started. I'm already counting at this day 1. I count to the 5th day. It's over. I start counting again to my next ovulation, to my next ovulation, and to the end of my cycle. If I pay attention to it throughout, you know how Muslims they pray and they use their beads and their counting, or Catholics when they're using their rosary. If you pay attention to it as how they do, it's always going to be very helpful for you.
Okay, thank you. Especially speaking from your own experience, it was important to know how accurate that is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Any
Nancy.
other questions?
Oh, sorry. Any questions, please?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. So I think we'll move to the next presenter, if we can have some questions again. So our next presenter is Mrs. Kimberly Ann Ekin. She's an aquatic ecologist with an MBS in environmental biology and a chemistry minor, an MS in zoology, and an MS in water resource policy and management, with 2 years of experience as a professional biologist, working with tribal, state, federal, consulting, and non-profit organizations. She understands the science and policy aspects of water and watershed movement. Dr. Kimberly is also our partner for this project, so thank you very much, Mrs. Kimberly. The floor is yours.
All right, thanks everybody for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you today. And if you want to bring up my presentation, Pauline,
Okay.
and then I'll kind of go through it.
Oh, hold on, please. Just hold on, please.
I just want to say too that I've learned a lot so far today, and in the United States, we don't have these conversations either about menstrual cycle and menopause and any of this stuff. So it's interesting to see that it seems to be an issue across the world that definitely needs to be addressed.
Okay, just hold on. Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so thanks again, everybody. I'm going to talk today about microplastics. It's something that is a huge issue around the world. And one of the things that I find very intriguing about Cameroon is you guys have a lot of mangroves, and I know those are an important part of the environment there. And I know that with the ocean and all the rivers there, you know, it's important to have these mangroves as part of the environment, and it's important to the fisheries in that area. So next slide. So just a little background. This is a critical issue related to menstrual hygiene, simply because there's a lot of microplastics associated with menstrual products. And I know we've talked a little bit today about improper disposal and how to, you know, actually go about disposing of a lot of these products, which are single-use products. And there's a lot of research out there, which I'll talk about in a little bit, about this emerging threat from microplastics found in these products. In fact, about 90% of them contain microplastics. And like I mentioned in the previous slide, there's a lot of biological diversity, especially with mangroves in Cameroon. And being able to maintain that is extremely important. And then, like I mentioned about the high density of mangroves along the coast. And there's a lot of impacts, especially to humans and environmental health, which I'll talk about here in a bit. Next slide. So just to give you a little information, so just in a menstrual pad alone, 90% of that is plastic. And then with tampons, 6% of that is plastic. And so we like to always try to look for these organic, eco-friendly alternatives, which were talked about in some of the previous presentations. And just to give you an idea what microplastics are, in the next slide, this is how it breaks down. So from what I understand, when it comes to the research on microplastics, it's everywhere in the environment. So now it's in the soil, it's in the water, it's in our food, it's in our bodies. They've actually done research to show that it's in our blood and it's in our brain. So being able to try to tackle some of this by using some more eco-friendly alternatives to the traditional menstrual pad or even a tampon will do a lot to help with the microplastic situation. Next slide. So like I mentioned, there's a lot of major concerns, environmental impacts. As you know, with plastics, it's non-biodegradable. We have a lot of limited infrastructure for the safe disposal, so a lot of it will end up in our rivers and streams, in the streets. I know somebody mentioned earlier about like sewage backup, things like that, so it'll end up in our communities. And then I mentioned the mangroves, it'll end up there in the oceans, and fish will consume it, sea turtles. I'm sure you've seen like different videos of plastic being consumed by animals, and this is a lot of health concerns too with humans, like there's inflammation in the body, it damages our cells, causes a lot of diseases such as cancer, affects our hormones, which is directly tied to our menstrual cycle, and there's a lot of digestive issues associated with microplastics. Next slide. So I won't go through this whole graphic, but I know this information will be available for people to look at. In the end, plastic just does not go away. It's everywhere. Like I mentioned, there's 9 million tons of plastic that enters our world's oceans, and it doesn't decompose. It affects the biological diversity, and 192 billion pieces of plastic exist. And so if there are some ways that we can go about working on this issue, I think by finding some healthier alternatives, particularly to what we're talking about today with menstrual hygiene, I think it will go a long ways. Next slide. So how to safely dispose. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier too, wrapping that in toilet paper, using a designated disposable bin if that is available, using biodegradable products, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and I know it was mentioned in some previous presentations, and then if possible, composting, and I know that we also talked about burning as well. So those are ways to safely dispose of menstrual products. Next slide. So this just gives you an idea of what you might see in the water, or maybe in some of these mangrove areas, a lot of these pieces of plastic, and it just keeps breaking down into, you know, one plastic bottle or one tampon can break into like millions of different pieces of microplastic, and this is how it ends up. Next slide. So here are some alternative menstrual products, and I can speak from experience. The one on reusable underwear is a great thing to use. You can clean those, as somebody had mentioned previously, hang those out to dry, and use those during your cycle. And there's also a menstruation kit, and I know you guys are familiar with that. I know, Pauline, you talked about that with Wem'Afrika before. And next slide. So just to kind of wrap it up, there have been case studies related to alternative products that are out there. And this was a case study in the Journal of Public Health, and they looked at a diversity of eco-friendly materials, so alternatives to traditional disposable pads. And I won't go through every single thing that's on here, but it gives you the breakdown of the top layer, the core, and then the bottom layer of the product. And you can see things like banana fiber, organic cotton fibers, bamboo, hemp. So those types of things are within these eco-friendly alternatives, so that you're not putting microplastics, directly inside you or becoming in contact with it, and then that can lead to a lot of health issues for people. So being able to have some of these alternative products that use more plant-based type products in the fiber is definitely a good sustainable alternative to the traditional pad that a lot of people use. Next slide. And again, I'm with the Watershed Movement. You guys have any questions, let me know. And you can also check out our website, watershedmovement.org. And I appreciate having the opportunity to work with Wem'Afrika on this project. And I hope that someday we get some extra money so we can actually go to Cameroon. So I'd be excited to have an opportunity to do that. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Kim, for your presentation. Okay. Thank you very much, Kim, for your presentation. Any questions for Kim? All right. Dr. Nathaniel, is he here? I don't know if he's still here. Dr. Nathaniel? Hold on, let's see. Yeah. Thank you. I think that Natalia has left, so we just have to continue with our session. Any questions so far? So we are almost done with our training for today. Hope you guys have learned a lot. Any questions so far from our speakers?
Yes, yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yes, I have a question for Dr. Kimberly, and I have also a question for the presentation of this tutorial. But let me ask a question on the microplastic. Yes, I want to know if there are international standards that are normally used to certify menstrual products that are, let's say, environmentally safe and sustainable, so that safety and performance will not be compromised. So I want to know, do we have some international standards to make sure we are using menstrual products that ensures our safety? Thank you.
That's a good question. I'm not aware of any international standards. I do know microplastics is a kind of an emerging threat to our environment, and so a lot of research has been going into it recently. But I do know, like in the United States, for instance, certain counties and towns will ban plastic bags, for instance, right? Some places like in California that are along the ocean that don't want the plastic bags to end up in the ocean, they will just ban plastic bags, and then they'll use an alternative like a paper bag that's biodegradable. And then I know some places will, for instance, not use water bottles anymore, and they'll encourage you to bring like your own reusable bottle. But as far as like a standard and an international standard, I'm not aware of it, just because it's a pretty new thing and we're starting to really understand how these plastics are and our bodies. So I wish there was a easy answer, but I think
All right, thank you. Yeah.
It'll be up to the town or the county or the different areas like in Africa that maybe want to ban certain products and use a paper bag, right, versus plastic bag. I hope I answered your question.
Ezekiel?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, I didn't get the question.
Did she answer your question?
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you very much, Dr.
Okay,
Kimberly.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, so my next question is on the beach tutorial. So let's look at the clinical methods to track our menstrual cycle, and then we look at the tracking our menstrual cycle using the beads. Now, I want to know what are some validation methods that we can depend on to make sure that, or to know that the beads that we are using to track our cycle is accurate and is acceptable. What kind of validation methods do we have to assess the base method against the clinical methods? Thank you.
Please, can you come again with your question? You spoke about clinical
All right.
methods and the best method.
All right. So, per my understanding, we are using beads to track menstrual cycle, right?
Yes.
Yes. And we have clinical methods to also track menstrual cycle. Yeah. So I'm asking, when you take the beads method, using the beads to track menstrual cycle, now what validation methods can be applied to the beads method to ensure that the beads procedure we are using to track menstrual cycle is accurate and it's also acceptable and it will give you the desired results. I'm looking for validation methods that we can depend on to make sure that the bits we are using to track menstrual cycle is accurate and is acceptable. Thank you.
Okay. First and foremost, please, I'm not a health practitioner per se, but the beats method that we're using to track menstrual cycle, it's customized to your personal menstrual cycle. Like when I started earlier, I showed mine and I made mention that my cycle, my bleeding days are 5, and my cycle is 32 days. So when you're using a beat to track your menstrual cycle, first you have to understand one thing, that it's not a standard procedure where it's applicable to everybody. It's applicable to you. You use it and you design it in a way that is suitable for you alone. I don't know if that is okay. And if Dr. Nathania was there, she would have answered from the clinical point of view, because I'm not
Yeah,
a
can
medical
I just
practitioner.
add something to that, to what you've said, Nancy? To answer, I think that first of all, every woman's menstrual cycle is customized to what your cycle depending on how frequent it comes. Some people have regular, some people have irregular. And this
Yeah.
beat is just like a traditional method, but this is essentially the way every other person, like either you're using a beat or you're using an app. Even an app will basically tick it for you like that. With a beat, you're just counting with that element. You're using the beats with I mean the way they taught us in primary school with your book, like you're probably noting it down. So it's essentially tracking is you just track through using different things, but tracking is one and the same thing. And what kind of validates that is working for you probably have to be your cycle, right? Like when by the time you track and then you know that okay, this is accurate, and maybe if you have a 28-day accurate cycle, what really validates it's how your menses flow. Now, so when you were even using the word validate, I asked myself if is that you're trying to compare it to medicine, like if using, contraceptives, like I don't know, maybe you're trying to compare it to contraceptives like medicine, and that's a whole different conversation. But when you're talking about tracking your period with non-invasive or medicinal ways, this is the traditional way, and even apps that people use is basically the same thing. The only difference is in the methods that they use. So I hope that kind of helps you to clarify the whole question
Right.
about validity. You cannot,
Yes.
even medicine itself will tell you that it's nice. I mean, they always say that leave the small 1% for God, right? So at the end of the day, so you have your tradition, your medical methods, and then you have non-invasive methods like what she was teaching.
And to also add, Mr. Ezekiel, there is no clinical way to track your cycle because I'm a mother. I have been to the hospital when I was pregnant. And basically what they use is still another calendar to calculate how many weeks are you going into your pregnancy, when next are you coming for your next visit. There is no clinical method so far that I went throughout my 9-month pregnancy to show me that this is how they track. And everything is always still based on speculations. It's never accurate. So, like I said earlier, for you to be certain, though my other Madam Manka has already said they always leave that 1% for God. For you to be certain that this is the length of my cycle, though it still fluctuates, you calculate it for 3 months, you track it for 3 months. If you have an app, you track your cycle for 3 months from the currency, from how current it is, you know that okay, this is my cycle and this is what is applicable for me. That's why I said this. What I did, it was based on assumption that the person who has that 28 is an assumption. The person who has that 28-day cycle bled for 4 days. So you can still use that same method, but the person bled for 7 days, the person bled for 3 days. But now what matters is the cycle. When you know the cycle, it's easier.
All right, thank you very much. We are almost done with our program.
Thank you.
Have space for two more questions, please, and let the responses be very quick. Killian, did you have a question?
Hi, good evening to everyone, or good morning, where you are. And thank you for this platform. Yeah, I actually had a question there. Nancy, in her conclusive statement, she did answer. The question was about how do we know, how do we do to be certain that we are either of the regular cycle or of an irregular cycle. So she did mention about 3 months. So yeah, thank you very much. And it was really insightful. I've learned a couple of things, new things. Thank you.
Thank you, Killian, for your question. Any other question?
Yes, my last question. So this is a general question. In some communities, I think menstruation is inappropriate to discuss publicly, or menstrual blood is sometimes seen as girls that go through menstruation, they are not allowed to cook or attend social gatherings. Some are not even allowed to interact really with their friends. In some areas too, it's also seen as issues that is related to females alone. And some parents don't even discuss menstruation with their children. So looking at some of these barriers, how do we overcome some of these things so that we issue in our communities? Thank you.
Hello. Okay,
Yes.
before others come up to answer your question, like we have in Cameroon, for example, we have the Muslims. They consider when a woman is bleeding, it's considered the person is not pure. She's unpure. It's their culture. So to be able to eradicate this myth, these taboos that exist, one, this platform that we have created today, this sensitization that we're carrying out today, is to eradicate some of those myths. They are just myths. They just use them to hinder women from certain things. Then also, it's good to carry out sensitization. When we are carrying out sensitization, we should practice inclusivity, diversity, like we include people from different cultures into this sensitization to be able to preach out against these myths and taboos that are surrounding, because there is nothing anywhere that a woman is unclean when she is menstruating. It's just an egg that does not get fertilized that is passing out. It's something that a woman's a woman's stomach or a woman's womb is like a reproduction cycle, reproductive cycle. It's a cycle. If the cycle starts and goes to an end and nothing happens, that waste needs to come out. It's the same thing like we do in supply chain. They say for a good to be considered finalized, or for a cycle to be considered finalized, it's when the good reaches the final consumer and there is a backflow. So without that flow of that waste of the unused egg, it's very difficult for a woman's system to function. So those myths, those taboos are what we carry out sensitizations on at different angles to fight against. Also, our mothers they don't teach their kids, their younger ones, on menstruation, because one thing they are afraid of is that if I educate this child on her menses, probably she will ask me about her menstrual cycle. And from there, she'll start indulging herself into sexual activities. So for some parents, they feel it's their own way of protecting their kids, their loved ones from indulging into sexual activities earlier or when they are not married. Meanwhile, they are killing them because they get to learn about it the wrong way, and they learn about it. What they even learn is not even correct. So to be able to fight against this, we should carry out more sensitization, more education. And when you're carrying out sensitization and education, make it to be diverse. You include everybody, but be also sensitive to culture and the way you present your data.
Thank you,
I don't
Nancy.
know.
Please let me
Thank you.
just quickly add to that because I presented on that subject. I wanted to say that starting point, it's very okay to ask that question and don't shy away from asking it, and don't be afraid to ask it, because those are conversations that need to be asked, and always just be straightforward about it, because we really do in the corridors, in our homes, in the marketplaces, people really do talk about it as such. Also, secondly, you said culture, right? And who creates culture? Human beings. We are the ones that create culture. So honestly, the way forward is creating the culture, but in a different direction. So it starts with you, in your household, your neighbors, your sisters, your friends, the discussion about what menstruation is. Then I spoke about, which is what I just want to conclude and highlight with, I spoke about the word menstrual hygiene, and how academia is moving away from using the word hygiene and associating it with the advocacy on this, about the stigma around it. Because hygiene it's rooted in the word sanitation, and that kind of reinforces the idea that when you're menstruating, you're dirty. So academia encourages, civil society actors and people who are advocating in the area to refer to it more so as menstrual health and dignity, so that it kind of give back power to the process and to the whole conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the presenters. Unfortunately, we don't have we don't have Kim Swao to really give us a concluding remarks. But before the end of the program, I want to find out, are the individuals interested to be ambassadors for My Menstruation, My Pride? I don't know, Marvin, are you interested to be an ambassador? Goodness, Nadine, I don't know. Ezekiel, Killian, what about you? Are you guys interested to be ambassador for My Menstruation, My Pride? Because the objective for us to ensure that everywhere we go, our communities, in our families, let's talk about menstruation. Let's talk about this issue because it affects us directly and indirectly. Things are moving, things are changing. What are the policies that have been put in place? Why should condoms be free? And then menstrual pads, you have to pay for it. So the more we talk about it, the more we create more awareness on these particular issues. So if you're interested to be part of, to be ambassadors for this program, My Menstrual, My Pride, please send us an email at wemafrica1@gmail.com, or you reach out to us through WhatsApp, +34 602 095480. So we can discuss more on how we can be ambassadors for My Menstruation, My Pride. Thanks very much to Nancy Goom. Your presentation was very, very insightful. It showed how to use your beads to count your menstrual cycle. I was just listening to it, and I was like, okay, that's nice. I always use my calendar, not the beads. So I think this time around, I think I'll use the beads. And also that's another platform where Wem'Afrika can really reach out to the communities, especially teenagers, talk about how they can use the beads. I think it'll be less expensive for them, and they'll be very, very, very happy to have them around. Thank you very much, Manka. It's always a pleasure having you on board. During our first session of My Menstruation, My Pride, your presentation was good. I had a lot of positive feedbacks from the teenagers. They're really happy. They're really impressed. They're like, okay, yeah. So and this time around, I'm like, okay, who can be the best when talk about menstrual health, menstrual hygiene? And that's why I reach out to you. Like, okay, because you know what it feels like, how to talk about menstruation, and we're passionate about it. So thank you very much, Manka. Hopefully we'll have an talk again on menstruation or something very different, because from your background it shows that you're a policy analyst, you're a researcher, you have a podcast. Why don't we invite you or invite us to talk about issues that concerns humanity, issues that concerns humanitarian activities. Thank you very much to all the participants are here. I think you are mostly from Cameroon, so thank you. And those from Ghana, Ezekiel, much respect to you. I'm going to see you guys very soon. Follow
Thank
us on
you.
social media platforms at Wem'Afrika. Follow us on YouTube. We're going to upload more videos about these discussions. If you want a recording of this video, I'll upload on our YouTube channel so you can watch it and share with your team members. And to the presenters as well, I'm going to send you guys a certificate to show that you guys have participated for it, and it's going to help us to create more awareness about this thing. Please, let's keep discussing about menstruation, menstruation, menstruation. Today, you might be okay, but tomorrow you might not be okay. The more you talk about it, the more you change the community. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed my session. I hope you guys enjoyed me being your moderator, and wish you all a lovely day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.